Hello, and welcome back to Hulu's Tell Me Lies official podcast. I'm your host, Stassi Schroeder. So each week, I know you've heard this before, we're going to be breaking down episodes, sharing behind-the-scenes stories, playing games, and yes, we are still sipping tea right now with the cast and crew of Season 3 of Tell Me Lies, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+. This week, Tell Me Lies showrunner Meaghan Oppenheimer is here back on the podcast to talk about that crazy season finale, okay? So if you haven't seen it yet, what is wrong with you, okay? Stop what you're doing. Don't watch the rest of this until you've watched it. Go watch the finale and come back. But here's a recap if you have watched it. First, we find out Bree and Wrigley hooked up at her engagement party. But back in 2009, Lucy and Diana have a heart-to-heart about Diana finally believing that Lucy was right about Steven's involvement in Macy's death. Lucy is ready to take him down. So she storms into that Yale Law new student orientation event. She corners the Baird alum and warns her that Steven is dangerous. Obviously, Steven is livid, and he acts on it. Pippa, emotionally drained, tells Lucy about cheating on Wrigley. Lucy, thinking this was like a safe space, tells her about her and Evan. Pippa immediately explains the difference in mistakes. She heads to Wrigley's to tell him the whole truth. He is once again an absolute king about it.
I think I'm gay.
You're not mad?
No, I'm not mad. It's okay.
All of a sudden, Lucy sees her confession tape in the wild. Fucking Steven. But then he denies it, and Lucy heads to Alex's. But Bree is already in there seeking shelter, and she isn't let in. Pippa fills in Bree on the lie. They're both mad at Lucy, but are still concerned when they can't get into her room. Before everyone knows it, Lucy is being expelled. Evan admits to Bree that it was Lucy when she asks, and she still decides to be with him. Steven's acceptance to Yale is revoked. I mean, finally, we all wanted that. Bree retreats to her room to flush a flash drive. And now we're at the final scene of the wedding. And please sit down if you are standing. A rabid Steven tells Lydia that he and Lucy slept together that day, and she causes a scene while exiting. Then Steven gets under Bree's skin by telling her he knows about her and Wrigley, and finally figures out she's the one who released the tape. So instead of admitting defeat, Steven reads everyone to filth in the most Shakespearean fashion. And he still manages to use this to get Lucy to leave with him.
I'm in physical danger if I don't get out of here, like, right now, so I'm gonna pull the car out front. You coming with me?
You've got to be fucking kidding me.
Before leaving her. Like, I'm not joking. At a fucking gas station. I'm pretty much forever. She's stranded at a gas station. It's diabolical. What drew you most to this story? Like, what made you want to adapt this book?
When I read the book, I was really taken by, this might sound weird, but how humiliating the character of Lucy is. And I thought the author was incredibly brave, letting her just be this humiliating character who humiliates herself for this relationship. I thought that was so real. And I think we always see shows with like complicated leads, but they're always very cool still. And Lucy's fucking humiliating.
No, Lucy's not cool.
Yeah. And I think that in our worst relationships, for me at least, humiliation has been a big feeling. And I think other people that I know feel that way. And I also just think it's so universal. You know, it's the one thing we've really not figured out how to do is love each other well without traumatizing each other.
No, I relate to the humiliating aspect of that on such a profound level, especially because it was all on like reality TV. Yeah. So people could just watch how embarrassing I was. And it's just like, oh my God, I feel so seen watching Tell Me Lies, even though it's like, I don't think, you know what, I'm gonna be honest. I went through times where I was a Lucy. I like to think of myself now as a Diana.
I think you make much smarter choices. You're a better schemer and planner, and I mean that is the
No,
best
thank you.
compliment.
Thank you.
You're smarter than Lucy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say you're more of a Diana. You know, I do. No, I think
No,
that.
but to hear you
Like,
say
no, I
it?
do. No, you're.
Like to hear you say it.
I think you would be a worthy opponent for Steven, and I don't think Lucy is. And again, that's a compliment.
Pack it up. Pack it up. No, let's just go home because I got what I needed from this. Thank you. That really does like mean a lot to me.
Oh, good.
I'm not
I mean
joking.
it. I really mean it.
Well, what did you want to say about like love and relationships through doing this show? Like, what did you want to convey?
You know, I'm never trying to impart a certain lesson on anything or teach anyone anything, because I don't like when I'm reading or watching things and I feel like the writer is trying to tell me something very specific. For me, it's more just exploring things that I'm interested in,
Yeah.
you know, and things that I think are really true and honest, and going to places that scare me. As soon as I'm bored, I'm like, the audience is going to be bored. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But I did, with this season specifically, I really do think that this idea of, you know, just cut your losses when you're in a relationship with someone like this, or in any bad relationship. I think there's this feeling that I've certainly had in the past, and friends of mine, of like, I've put so much into it. I've put so much energy into it. It can't all be a waste. And it's like, no. Anything else, it's like, it's a waste, but like, cut it out now. You're not going to win with
Yeah.
someone like this. And you just have to accept the loss, accept that it sucked, accept that you were embarrassed, and leave without trying to have the last word or a victory, because there's certain people that's never going to happen with. And Steven is one of those people.
You know, more therapists need to tell people that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't think, you know, you say it as if we all have that knowledge and wisdom, but I think that's very specific to you.
Oh.
You should tell more people that. I
Yeah.
think we all need help, not me.
I mean, I've learned it the hard way. Yeah.
Well, I did want to
Yeah.
ask you if I mean, a lot of the things on this show are so fucking diabolical. That I'm like, is she drawing from personal experience right now?
Sometimes, yeah.
Like, can you name one?
I mean, Steven is definitely inspired by two people, and they know who they fucking are. I mean, one instance that was definitely in season 2 at the bar with Oliver and Bree, that situation where Oliver is sort of like throwing it in the bartender's face that he's with this very young girl. I had an experience very similar to that when I was much too young to be hanging out with a certain person. And I remember that moment being like, I don't know if this is a good guy. Like, I don't know. And I feel like he might do this with other young girls. And
Yeah.
it's sort of in the season, we wanted it to be kind of the turning point where we're like, oh, this guy's kind of creepy. But that was season 2. Yeah, there's so many moments that feel the bucket of piss outside of
happened
Lucy.
to-
No, not to me. That happened on one of our writers. That happened on their college campus to a girl who accused someone of assault. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
When you look back at like these past 3 seasons, who's your favorite couple?
They all have moments where I love them. I think all of us, while making season 3, felt like Bree and Wrigley were just this incredible source of light. And
I loved that.
I cried I never cry in the edit because I'm so fucking numb to everything. But I cried when we were cutting like every single one of their scenes. And I'm so happy with how that story turned out. And I was so happy to give Bree some light.
Yeah.
Because she had such a dark season last year. Yeah, I love that couple. I really do. I think they make it work.
Which couple, like, when you look back at everything, like, breaks your heart the most?
I felt like the Alex and Lucy dynamic this season was incredibly visceral and a very devastating gut punch, because we've had a lot of sexual violence towards women on the show, and this is the first time we'd really explored it with a male character. And I think not enough shows do that. I haven't seen that enough on shows, certainly not YA shows, you know, if you consider this a YA show. But also both of those actors, Grace and Costa, are so wildly emotionally available that when we shot those scenes, it just kind of poured out of them. And it was like this brutal dance that it was very hard to shake off at the end of the day. But also what was interesting was that relationship, it's the first time Lucy has a relationship on the show where she says from the beginning, and she means it, that this is just sex. It's not, she doesn't want him to be a boyfriend, and she means that. So their relationship is technically just about sex, but their sex is about so much other shit.
Yeah.
In a way that I think was very, very special. And I'll be interested to see how people react to those scenes.
Do you like have this board in your house that like you know, like a crime board with all of the characters' secrets, things that have happened with like little ties to them? Like, how do you keep track of all of the little things? Because there are no plot holes. There are
Thank you.
Like none of that. There, like, how do you keep that all straight?
So we have this amazing thing called Writers Room Pro, which is a program that they developed during the pandemic because all the writers' rooms moved to Zoom. It's like a digital board, and you can click on one character and have a whole other board just for them. You can have a board for just this one relationship. So it's all stored there. And it's, I can never go back to a normal chalkboard after the whiteboard. I just will never be able to do that.
That's what y'all used to do? Whiteboards?
Yeah, whiteboards. Oh, yeah. And you'd have someone write it out, and it was crazy.
Wow, just learned something new. That's amazing. Are there any like throughout the show, like symbols, like or settings, or like, you know, environments, or just like little things that like hold a special meaning to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've returned to a lot of the same sets. I would say that we use music in a very kind of symbolic way. I've sort of figured out that part of the language of the musical language of our show are these escalated callbacks, where we'll use a song in a very specific moment, and then we'll bring that song back and create a new cover of that song. And that's been really fun to do. We obviously, we're doing Such Great Heights.
Yeah.
We used that in season 1 when they're sitting alone in these trash bags, and it was sort of cementing them as this island of toxicity. And we use it again at the end of the show, and Churches did this incredible cover, and it's amazing. But it's this callback to that moment, but now it's Lucy on her own island of like, fuck, I've followed this man out into the middle of the sea, and now I'm gonna drown.
Yeah.
We also had this thing this year with, do you know the story of like the scorpion and the frog at all?
No, do tell.
I know, it sounds so silly, but we
The
use this.
scorpion and the frog.
I use this for the whole season. It's this idea, there's a scorpion and a frog on the side of a river, and the scorpion is like, can you please carry me on your back across the river, because I can't swim, because I'm a scorpion. And the frog's like, no, you're gonna sting me and I'm gonna die. And he's like, why would I do that? If I sting you, we're both gonna drown.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, good point. So he carries him across. Halfway through, the scorpion stings him. They both start to drown. And the frog's like, why did you do this? Now we're both going to die.
And he's like, I was gonna die anyway?
No, he says, I'm a scorpion.
Oh.
And so the idea, it's like, you are who you are. So we kind of put little scorpions throughout this season in very subtle places, just as like a little fun thing, because Steven's, it's like, what do you think he's gonna do? He's Steven.
Yeah.
He's, even if it fucks up his own life, he's just going to need to win.
Yeah. No, Meaghan, before I watched the season 3, I was like, you know what? I think that he might be a little misunderstood. There's something we don't know. And then I'm like, no, you were wrong. He's a fucking monster. He's a scorpion.
Yeah. It was funny because Jackson had that same realization. He texted me one day and he was like, Steven's a bad guy. He'd gotten to like episode 4.
But like he really, like that character is the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's also, the thing about Steven is that he's funny. And so you kind of forgive him for doing things until it's happening to you. And I think that's a lot of these people who are, you know, emotionally abusive they can be very funny because they don't give a fuck. And they have these inflated, you know, delusions of grandeur and all these things. And yeah, they can be tricky people.
Okay, well, speaking of characters, then which character do you think, you know, amongst the crew had the biggest story arc or had the most change throughout the series?
Wrigley, I think, for sure.
Okay, can we just like have a moment to worship Wrigley?
I know.
Like at first season, I'm like, you're kind of annoying. Like you're annoying. Get it together, bro. Like get it together. By the end of the season 3, I'm like,
I know.
Should I set Wrigley up with someone I know? Like Wrigley is the best. He's now become my favorite.
The best. I love Wrigley. It was funny because Spencer's so smart and he's such a great guy. And he gave this interview after season 2 that was like, you know, my character's always, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, my character's always like failing and blah, blah, blah. And I wish he could have a win sometimes, but you know, I've seen how he is in the future, so I know that doesn't happen. And I was like, I'm gonna give you a fucking win. I'm gonna give you a win. And it honestly though, that character could have been very one-dimensional, but Spencer brought so much heart to it that we started to write him more that way because Spencer has this like you can see everything underneath like the layer of skin. You know, you see every emotion. And he was such a joy to write for. Yeah, I love that. I love that character.
So I know you say Steven's a Scorpion. Word, understand that. So it feels weird to ask this question because it's like of course there's a villain. Like there's multiple. Mm-hmm. If you had to pick one character that was the villain of season 3, would it be Steven?
Technically, yes. Yeah. But I would say that you expect it from him because he doesn't know any better.
That's also a cop-out. I'm so sick of people when like people keep doing shitty things to people and they're like, well, that's just like how he is. Like that's his thing.
Yeah. No, it's bad.
That's not an excuse.
But I think that Evan was more disappointing because Evan knows better. And Evan, I thought Evan did some really pretty terrible things this season. But Steven's the villain, though. Steven is you know. But in general, it's Oliver, Evan, Steven. Those are the bad guys. Yeah. I would say.
Oliver fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Let's just put the cards for a second. That scene with Marianne, at first, I was like the one with her and Brie at the house.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I love this. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, this is such a moment of, like, you never see this. Mm-hmm. And then for her to turn on Brie.
I know.
No.
I know.
Where's that actress? I need to go knock on her door.
Gabriella is amazing. She's like an Italian movie star. We got so lucky to have her in the show. But a lot of people wanted me to cut that scene in the boardroom where they all confront her. And I was like, this is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
If we're driving her to release that tape, she needs to have been driven to a crazy place. Yeah. And yeah, I know. I laugh so hard when she walks in and you see those 3 characters. It's like, oh no. Yeah, no, I love that scene. I love that scene. And yeah, Oliver sucks. Oliver sucks.
Okay, so like, do you and your friends all sit around and talk about the show the way that the rest of us do?
They definitely will freak out to me about it, and it's very funny and very cute. What happens more is that people, when they find out that I write the show, will come to me and be like, start asking me dating advice. And I'm like, why have you watched? Why would you ask me? I'm psychotic.
Yeah.
That's why I've written this show. You know, like
that's like asking me when I was 25.
It's crazy. If you ask me for dating advice, I'm gonna be like, you need to get a black skull candle. You need to get like a bag of his semen, and you need to light it on fire. You know, but I'm just kidding. That's not actually my advice. But you know, but it's so fun. People will be like, so I know this guy, and blah blah blah. But the answer is always like, no, it's a bad guy. Move on. That's always the answer. If you have to ask, it's like, no, He's not nice.
You don't have a group chat with like your best friends?
I have a group chat with like the writers.
Yeah.
And that's very fun. And we're always like sending each other the memes, the TikToks are very funny.
What was the most fun episode to create and make and build out just like with everyone?
This season, definitely the finale. That wedding sequence, we were building to it the whole season, and we had all this anxiety about it because you have 3 cakes, you've got a few of the wedding dresses, and you
gotta nail it.
You can't fuck it up.
Yeah.
More than like once maybe. And we went into the space and we choreographed it with our director Tyne like a dance. And we were also like filming in this hotel all week, and it was really fun. It was really, really fun. And everyone, I thought, did a great job. We couldn't believe how well it went.
One take?
No.
How many cakes did you go through?
We ended up only going through two cakes.
Okay.
So we did the first cake death with a stunt double, and then Brandon wanted to do the one, and he hurt his leg a little bit. He's okay, but like he was like walking funny the next day, I'm sure. But he did the second one, and we were like, we got it, so let's just keep going. But yeah, that was really funny. I have a lot of videos of that on my phone.
What was the most memorable production day? That one?
I would say that one. I mean, doing Slapshots season 2 was pretty memorable because they're all sitting around slapping each other, and they weren't allowed to really slap each other. And then Molly, Catherine, who plays Molly, is there. She's with Brandon in real life. They're a couple. Yeah, and that's not secret. But I
didn't know that.
And so she actually slapped him, and it was so funny. But I wasn't supposed to laugh because everyone was like, that can't happen. And I had to pretend to be like, guys, don't do that. But I was like laughing. It was so funny. But they got scolded, and then it was like just, fake slapping after that. But it was really good.
You know what? They're in a relationship.
He knew it was coming. He knew it was coming. It was so funny. Yeah, that was a good day.
Okay, who makes up, I need you to explain the titles of every episode, because I've realized that I've spent now 3 seasons being like, oh, I know what this is going to mean, and it's never anything that I know it's going to mean.
Right.
I'm literally like, who comes up with them? What do they mean?
I do. I pick them. I always use like a song lyric. It's always like a piece of a song or a title of a song or an album. And usually the song will have something kind of related to something in the episode. Sometimes it's just the lyric is really spot on for this episode. Like I want to hold her head underwater. That's the swimming episode. Yeah, and I'll have the writers like text me
Song
ideas
lyrics?
for it. But yeah,
Wait, did everyone else know in this room that they were song lyrics?
No,
but
a
me?
lot of people don't realize.
Okay.
A lot of people don't realize.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No,
I promise.
That makes me feel better.
No, a lot of people don't realize.
Okay, so how far in advance did you know the way this season was going to end?
I didn't know the specifics until I would say, I think we were about 6 weeks into the room, but I knew before. I do about like 4 to 6 weeks of prep on my own before I start the writer's room, where I just figure out what is the season about, what are the themes, what are kind of the main, very, very broad storylines, and what are some specific moments I want. And I knew that this season was going to be about punishment, consequences, and inevitability. Mm-hmm. And I realized, I was like, of course, Lucy, she needs to pick Steven and then be left stranded somehow. And I had the image of that, but I didn't know what it meant. Sometimes I'll get an image of how I want something to look or feel, but it's not actually the scene. And so we were trying to figure it out in the writer's room, and I said to the writers, I was like, I want it to be not this, but it's as if he just like drops her off the side of the road and drives away at a gas station. And they were like, he could literally just
do that.
And I'm like, oh, he could just do that. And yeah. I think there was a period of time where I thought Lucy was going to kind of get her revenge or be on top. Not when I started writing this season, but in the past, years ago. But I didn't think that was realistic. And I sort of realized that the show, it's more a cautionary tale. I'm not trying to like set an example for anyone. It's a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it makes me scared for my children to go to school.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is we talk about these young relationships as if it's like, oh, whatever, she's 20, she's 21. You are making decisions that can completely change the course of your life and can also completely fuck up your understanding of love and how to love other people. And I just wanted some big consequences for her, you know, not because I wanted that for her, but I think that it's realistic.
What's the hardest truth about relationships that you wanted the ending to convey?
I mean, I guess what I said before, just about, you know, you need to cut your losses. I think that's basically what I was trying to say. I think that, you know, Diana gets out because she realizes she can't win, and that is winning. And Lucy does not do that. And so I'm sort of just saying, like, look, if you get into this kind of relationship and you don't leave, it's going to permanently fuck you, and you're going to lose a lot. And it's just not worth it. But again, I'm never like, this is what I want people to take away from it, because it's not really my business what people take away from it. I'm like, I'm writing something that to me is true, to me is interesting, things that I know to be true, that I've witnessed or felt, whatever. And then I give it to the audience, and it's like, you can react to that however you want. But I will say one thing I did want to kind of do with this season was, I've been really shocked by how angry people are at Lucy since season 1. Shocked. They say she's as bad as Steven. I'm like, what drugs are you on? She's as bad as Steven. You're out of your fucking mind. And they're so hard on her, and they've been calling for her head on a stake since day 1.
Well, that's misogyny.
No, obviously. It obviously is, for sure. But I sort of had this kind of feeling of like, you want Lucy to get fucking punished? You want to see what that looks like? And so kind of giving the audience what they've said that they wanted, this like really publicly humiliating punishment that is so far beyond what she deserves. And then sort of being like, you happy now, guys?
Yeah.
You happy? I mean, that's why the title is, Are You Happy Now That I'm on My Knees? Because it was sort of, not that I love our audience, but I think sometimes people can be a little hard on Lucy, and it was a little bit of a like, how do you feel now? You know?
I think that's like a huge deal. I've never really thought about whether, you know, the audience impacts how a show is made.
Right. Yeah. No.
You listen to your audience.
To some degree. To some degree, yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
I think it's, well, because our audience, it's very interactive, our show. It's almost like a Bravo show, the way that people react and are screaming at their TV. And really, I think because it's just a subject matter that so many people can relate to, there's certain things that the audience will ask for where I'm like, I understand why you want that, but from a storytelling point of view, that's going to be very fucking boring. You don't actually want that.
Can you tell me like an example of something the audience wanted?
I mean, like happy endings for people. You know what I mean? Like more of like, I want to see these two people happy and together. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You're going to be so bored.
Yeah.
Like I hope that Wrigley and Bree make it work in the future, but like I don't need to like see them live happily ever after. I really hope that they do. I don't need to see it, you know? That's how I feel, but I'm also a very depressed person, you know what I mean? So that's my taste. I don't need that. I don't want the happy ending. Yeah, but stuff like that, or just over-explaining things. I'm like, not everything needs to be overly explained. That's when things get boring. But there are certain things. I think we just realized after season 1 what people love about the show and what moments they were reacting to. There was definitely certain creative choices season 1, you know, trying to make it more like thrillery or lean into the murder stuff. And I love a murder mystery, but I was like, we're not a murder mystery.
Yeah.
If we were, we would be the worst one ever. Like, it's just, this is not a murder mystery. And I kept saying, like, I don't think they care about that part. I think they care about these people fucking each other and hurting each other and lying to each other and making fools of themselves. And then the biggest moment that people reacted to was that staircase moment in season 1. No one, when the finale came out, no one talks about the fact that Steven was driving the car.
No,
literally
in
no
fact,
one.
no one cares. Even season 2 skated over. Season 3,
no one cared. No one cared.
Season 3, Lucy tries to bring it up for a second, and
they're like,
he's
huh.
just like, yeah, no one cares.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
one does. But but if you talk about Lucy in that coconut bra and Diana and him walking down the stairs,
it's So we just I tried to give more reaction or more moments like that were realistic but shocking and like funny. I always say to like our directors, our editors, everyone, the tone of the show when it's at its best is it's as if there's like an evil god watching our characters and just like laughing at all of their choices. And that's like when I'm in the edit, I'm like laughing like hysterically because something terrible is happening.
it's like Vanderpump Rules.
It's that is the succession of reality TV. Vanderpump Rules. You were the best part of it.
I'm kidding.
Phenomenal show.
Do you feel like throughout making these seasons, like it's taught you, I would imagine it like teaches you things about like love and growth and just like relationships?
I mean, it's definitely reinforced things that I already believe, like don't sleep with sociopaths, don't lie.
But like,
but
how do we figure out if someone's a sociopath? I found out, 2 years in.
Yeah.
You find out. What are the red flags?
The funny thing is, in this show, there were so many red flags, and Lucy ignores them. And I think usually we're ignoring. When I look back on my worst, the red flags were there. You're not trusting your gut, but
You're so correct.
But I do think that if you feel worse about yourself, like it's very basic. If you spend time with this person and you don't feel good about yourself, like 95% of the time after, that's not
a good sign.
good. And I think, but it's fun. One thing I have just like kind of figured out is that because by the time I started the show, I was very happily married. And I think that I wish more people understood that like the toxic cycle is actually so boring. It's so boring because it's so predictable. Mm-hmm. It's like A, B, A, B, A. Like there's no growth, there's no journey. It's just like ping pong back and forth. And it's tiring and it's so boring. And like trust and happiness and like it's like so exciting because you don't know where the end is gonna go. And so many things can happen and you're not gonna be like flat on your face, just destroyed half the time.
People in happy relationships everywhere understand exactly what you're talking about. Like I remember, not to make it about me, but I remember getting to that point where I realized this is fucking boring.
Yeah.
This nonstop, okay, we get in a fight, we don't talk for a week, you ice me out, then you come back, then there's this. And then when I got into a healthy relationship where I felt safe, I was like, oh, yeah, this is fun. Yeah. This is exciting.
Yes.
It's like happy doesn't equal boring. Toxic doesn't equal exciting.
No. Those are just stress hormones. That's just like your cortisol rising when you're feeling the excitement in a toxic relationship. But I had the very specific moment in my life when I met my husband. And I remember literally, I described it to my friends the next day. I was like, I feel like I just swam up to the surface of water and I didn't know I had been like not breathing air for 10 years. And it was like, like that was the feeling, which sounds cheesy, but that is the feeling. You know? And I'm not a romantic person. Those are the worst scenes for me to write. If it's a romantic scene I'm like, this is so boring.
We feel oddly similar.
Sorry?
We feel oddly similar.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be hard for me to write too.
I'm just like, where's the game? I'm just not, I'm not overly romantic, but the Brie and Wrigley stuff was fun to write.
God, and they were so great together. Like their chemistry off the freaking charts.
I know.
Like I'm so glad you made that decision.
I know. Okay. I was a little nervous when I told them about it because they've all become such good friends. But they were super professional and cool about it. But I was like, you're gonna have to make out this year.
They were so great at it.
They were great.
Well, we know where they go in your head. Where do you think Lucy goes?
I actually think that hitting this rock bottom is the wake-up call she needs, and I think she's gonna make new friends and get better. I think she's gonna. I actually think she's gonna grow from this moment, because I don't think Steven is gonna try to come back.
No, I think he was just waiting for this.
He
and
wanted
it was
to
all
win
because of the Yale thing.
Yes, because he thinks that was her.
Yeah.
And he wanted to win. He wanted his punishment. Now he's gotten it. He's never gonna seek her out again.
Yeah.
I don't think he would.
No, I mean, I didn't write this. You did, but like, I don't think he would either.
Yeah, because that's all he wanted, you know? I mean, I remember the day in the writer's room when we kind of broke those final moments. It's always like very magical in the room when you're like, oh, we found it. And I was like high. And because I didn't know how I was going to wrap up there's so many characters, and I didn't want it to be overly sweet or overly sad. I wanted it to be, bittersweet and funny, and I wanted it to feel inevitable. But then once it's happened, you're like, oh, of course that's the ending. Of course that's what was going to happen.
Okay, that's what you did.
Oh, well, thank you.
That is what
Thank
you did.
Thanks.
Because it was completely unexpected, but
good.
That would.
Of course, yeah.
That's exactly for sure.
Yeah. No, I feel really proud of this season. I think everyone just did their best work, and we had such a good time making it. We really did. There was there are a lot of laughs on the set. Yeah, I feel really good about it. I told the story I want to tell. Who knows what will happen, but I feel good about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you. Thank you.
Of course. Well, that's a wrap on this season of the Tell Me Lies official podcast. Thank you so much to Meaghan for helping us process the crazy season 3 ending, and to the entire Tell Me Lies cast for joining me this season on the podcast. And thank you, fellow Tell Me Lies fans, for listening week after week. Watch and listen to Tell Me Lies official podcast, available on Hulu and wherever you get your podcasts. And don't miss Tell Me Lies, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.